Well, hello and welcome. Today I have Ed Demasi. He is a transformational coach and a writer, and he lives in California. So, welcome, Ed, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Tammy. I really appreciate the invite, and I'm looking forward to going through this with you. This is my first podcast.
Well, that's awesome. Um, I just love having conversations with people and we met through an online spiritual community where we're focused on our mindset and it's called the teachings of Joshua, but you have a you have a lot of other things. So tell me a little bit about your spiritual awakening and your history.
Hmm. That's a good question, and it's funny as I sit here and think about it. My spiritual awakening began with psychedelics in my teens, where uh, I experienced a oneness with nature, and and that led me, or I don't know if that led me there or if spirit led me there, but then a, a mentor friend of the family gave me a book called Illusions by Richard Bach,
Mm.
and that was a fun book to read, and I kept finding myself just opening the page to some random page and taking a lesson for the day from that book. And then I read a book called Seth Speaks by Jane Roberts, and those those two books go down as really my basis of understanding. Seth Speaks was your reality is a mirror of your thoughts, and Illusions had the same thing. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, you can achieve. If you argue for your limitations, they're yours. And so that's where I began my spiritual journey.
So it started young when you were very young, which is very
Yeah.
common. And then so you started reading books, and I noticed that you used the word alchemy. Did you study alchemy as well?
I would say that's more recent. The way I think of alchemy is just transforming one thing into another, which I do frequently on a moment to moment basis with my thoughts. If I'm thinking the wrong thing, I alchemize my thoughts into something more productive, more positive, more creative. Uh, we all have thoughts that bring us down at times, and we beat ourselves up, and those are the damaging ones that can really ruin a day.
Yes, when we have events that occur that we don't plan or control, then, or we just sometimes wake up feeling bad, but you can shift your thoughts um, with
Yeah.
focus. And, I remember reading one of Richard Bach's books, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, when I was very
Oh
young
yeah.
too. And as I go back, it just goes further and further. These books were, they were very powerful books, and ideas to, increase your capacity to understand that your thoughts. And I like alchemy for a reason. All is mental, all is mind. That idea it's pretty powerful. Like you're creating your reality with your thoughts and your
Mhm.
feelings and your emotions. and the law, the vibration that you're putting out. It's not just your thoughts, but your feelings
Hmm.
too. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's so books are powerful. And do you want to go on to any other leaders that were or
Well, I
teachers?
think I should also say it might be beneficial for anyone who's listening, that life took over in my 20s, and uh, I uh, uh, started a career, and I got married, and I started kids, and all of my spiritual uh, journey that I had when I was in my teens kind of disappeared. And I longed for it, though. I longed for that, but I was uh, creating my reality based on, the material world and the
Oh,
illusion that we are all in here. And I I find that when I look back, I know that it was my subconscious mind that was really running my whole life. Um, and my subconscious mind raised my kids. My subconscious mind told me, that I had to strive and suffer in order to gain money and so many other things that my life was all about then. And then I had the fortunate circumstances of going to there's a uh, personal growth location here in California called Esalen.
oh,
Have
really?
you heard of it?
I've heard
Esalen
of it.
Institute.
I've wanted to go
Yeah,
there my whole life. I
yeah,
don't know why, but I got a massage from a lady
yeah.
learned how to massage there. But I've seen some of the
Excellent.
classes, and some very interesting people go there and
Yeah.
teach and lead, and they've got great classes. So tell me about Esalen.
Well, the interesting thing about it is that the mentor that I had mentioned, who gave me the book Illusions,
Uh-huh.
he told me there's a place in California called Esalen Institute. If you ever get a chance to go there, you really should go there. This is something I just know it would be for you. Well, it took nearly 20 years before I ended up there. And but I never it never left my mind. I was living in California, only an hour and a half away from it, maybe 2 hour drive. Uh, and um, and then one day I just called them up and sent for their catalog, and I knew it was time, and I got the catalog, and I signed up for a program called the Road Less Traveled, and it was a it was put on by a very interesting uh, PhD Buddhist um, guru kind of guy that was just actually really a regular guy, but he knew all this stuff. And I get into this 1 week program, and he starts by asking people, okay, so what is on your mind right now? And right away, people start coming up with, oh, well, my terrible childhood and my wife is, I can't get along with her, and it's really bothering me, blah, 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 all this stuff. And he let about 4 or 5 people talk, and he's like, stop. Okay, we've got that out. Now, the rest of the week, we're not going to live in that story. And then he proceeded to teach us how to be present. And some of those lessons were to go sit in the garden and just smell what is there. Look at a plant and try to smell it from 10 feet away. Um, just just be with the dirt. Go to the river, which they have a very nice stream of. It's more like a river at times there. Go to the painting barn and paint something without any preconceived notion of whether it's going to be good or bad, or whether it's going to have an outcome or not. And when I left uh, that week-long workshop, I was a changed person.
Mhm.
I had a heightened sense of smell, a heightened sense of hearing. I saw the world completely differently. Uh, I was 36 at the time. And then I went back to my world of owning a business and managing people, and um, being a dad and a husband and all of that. And over the course of about 6 months, I think it all pretty much went away, but the feeling never left me. And it was always a touchstone of how to get, okay, how to become centered and present. And then another 20 years passed before I really took my spirituality and my growth to heart and really dug in. And that was about 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Yeah, I know I was always spiritual, but I retired 7 years ago, and I started kayaking and painting and going to retreats and get-togethers and having fun. And uh, yeah, my sense of smell awakened. I can remember hiking around Jenny Lake, and I was asking people. I was in Wyoming a couple years ago, and I was asking people, what does that smell? Like every new place I went, it was just almost overpowering, the smells, um, and the beauty. And I just got back in tune with nature. I don't think I was never not a naturist. I love the outdoors, always have, but there's something about it when you're very present. Like today, I was looking at a bird. I was just watching a beautiful blue bird. Well, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we just don't take time to appreciate the little things in life. Um, but it's powerful. Nature is very powerful. The
Mm-hmm.
sights, the smells, the connection with the earth, earthing, but being childlike and playful in life
Mm-hmm.
is it's wonderful. And you
Yeah, it
can
is.
it's not, and these places like Esalen are magical. So did you continue taking workshops there, or have you been back?
Uh, well, yeah, actually, I brought my whole family back the next year for a vacation at
Oh,
Esalen, where the kids were to basically hang out at the pool in the art barn, and just run around free and safe. And my wife and I took a course with a Native American um, spiritual leader. His name is Little Bear, and he's from the Esalen Hills up there in beyond Monterey. And that was a very interesting workshop. It was mostly fun and hiking and talking about communing with nature, and it was a really interesting program, but mostly it was just for fun. And we got a lot of massages, and well, a couple massages and a psychic reading and that sort of thing. It was a playground for a week. Um, and I haven't kind of think I went back for massage one other time because I was camping down there, but I haven't been called. I listen to the calling.
oh
If
yeah.
I'm called, I do.
Hmm.
And
That's good.
It's probably one of uh the main things. I don't like to force things. I spent in my work world, I spent a lot of time doing that, and
We all do.
with some
I did.
regret, yeah. When you were talking about a moment ago, I could bring up this. There's a book called Falling Upward that I read recently, Richard Rohr, um, and it talks about how the second half of life can be full of spiritual richness, and that seems like
Yes.
what you've experienced, and certainly what I've experienced.
Yes. I slowed down. Have worked a little and I do a little work. I'm an energy healer. And I've gone to certifications and going to sacred places is one of my fun things that I like to do. Like I just went to Sedona. I've been to Taos, New Mexico, to uh, Egypt, the pyramids. So
Hmm.
I go where I'm called, and I feel um, like I did what I called it my spirit drive. I did a 5,000-mile journey across the US and went to a bunch of places. Like you, I follow my inspiration when it comes to uh, going to places and going to spiritual groups or joining
Yeah.
and making new friends.
Hmm.
It it just makes life interesting. So I because I live in a small town in Georgia. I don't live in a
Uh-huh.
busy place, but
Hmm.
um I like to go to new places and try new things and you know everything spiritual. And I just went to Newton, North Carolina for
Hmm.
4 days. So there are places I like to go there too and people there.
Hmm.
And um so we have those all over the US, but I do recall looking at a couple of workshops there in Esalen, but I've always ended up in other places.
Hmm.
So maybe I'll
Yeah.
look it up again.
Maybe you
It's
will.
a reminder. I do try to
Yeah.
listen when I get inspiration too.
Hmm.
Um, so tell me, so as you moved through your spiritual work, um, is there anything else that was really powerful that stands out that taught you how to think in a
Oh,
positive way?
sure. Well, when I finally decided to face myself, um, and so on reflection, I believe that these two times in my life were put there by my guides to point me in the direction that I needed to be, or that I wanted to be, to help me have a grounding point for the work that I would do once I was done uh, with all the physical world stuff that we get involved in, um, raising family, kids, buying a house and cars, and trying to have excitement. I spent a lot of time seeking excitement for joy, and I spent a lot of time avoiding my emotions, uh, manufacturing my emotions, uh, and trying to control my world. Even though one thing never left me, that control is an illusion. I would say that to people. We teach what we most need to learn. That's another thing from the book from Richard Bach. And so uh, I got slammed in 2016. I bought a house up in Sonoma. I was very unhappy with my work. I owned a business in San Francisco. I was very unhappy with my um, never-ending choice to pursue relationships with people who I was physically attracted to, but not any real hope for success. Um, no study of like, oh, is this person right for me? Or
Mhm.
is this the kind of person that I would want to be with?
Mhm.
So, and constantly seeking, that was after my divorce, um, constantly looking outside myself for my happiness.
Uh-huh.
I think that's the main crux of what I was going through during that second 20-year period. And and then my back went up, and it had done that before. So I thought, okay, well, I'll go get myself to physical therapy, chiropractor, whatever, again, and get back on my. And at that time, I was golfing and sailing and skiing and cycling and going to the gym, and I was very, very active. And then suddenly, I couldn't do any of that, and it wasn't going away. And I spent about a year and a bit, 14 months with the medical community, getting being prescribed pills that I didn't want to take, and I didn't take. I took them very, you know, sparingly, um, and going to doctors to find out, if there was something they could do, pain management, surgery, whatever. I didn't do any of that because I had a knowing inside myself that I didn't need that, and I didn't know what to do. And finally, one day, I just I had a conversation with God, and I said, I am not going down this way. I know that I can heal myself. I have no idea how to do that, but I know that I can heal myself. And if I can get some guidance uh, to help me learn how to heal myself, I'll bring that to others.
Nice.
This is what I want to do with the rest of my life. And it was just that information was something that was not even really, it didn't seem to be, it was not born inside my body. It was born in my soul. It was a knowingness of great proportion that I knew that I had to do. And so I almost immediately, things started happening and downloads started occurring. I could feel my the information flood into my body and into my uh like my head, my top chakra. Just
Mhm.
the information was flowing, and I would get these downloads. Okay, and this next, and this next. Sometimes I would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning or 3:30 in the morning with a search term on the internet, and I proceeded to start to heal my body with energy and with my thoughts.
Mhm.
I had no idea. And I'm telling people that I'm doing this, and they're looking at me like I'm a crazy person. But I knew this was what I was doing, and I would envision the pain as color, and I would envision the injury as colors, and I would at first I would be trying to like force them out. And it's like, no, 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 no. The universe doesn't work that way. The universe works in ease. And that was the message I got. And I'm like, well, how do I ease it out? Okay, well, let me just, so I tried practicing that. And then I would be able to have the pain be gone for a minute, and then 2 minutes, and then 10 minutes. And over the course of time, um, I'm completely pain free, and I've healed many other things of that the doctors have given me um, uh, warning signs about. Um, my knees. I was supposed to get new knees 10 years ago. I don't. need new knees. I was just to the the orthopedic, and he says, your knees are great condition. Why are you here? Like, just to verify that. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
And so that journey took me to, okay, now how do I deliver this information? I can sit there and tell people I'm doing it with energy, and they look at me like I'm crazy. I need to learn how to communicate this power with
Mhm.
people. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to take a coaching class. So I went for 2 years to CTI, Coactive Training Institute. First year was coaching, the second year was leadership, uh, and uh, and in between, interspersed between that, I went to mind body medicine school with oh gosh, what is the name of that doctor? James Gordon, amazing man, Washington, Harvard grad and everything. He founded this mind body medicine training program, and he goes all over the world and trains people in uh, how to um, heal your primarily anxiety and stress with breathing
Oh,
techniques
yeah.
and other types of meditations like dance and other types of information that's very simple and easy to understand for most people. Um, and then I ran some classes for people with that, and help people get off of their meds with breathing techniques. So that was really wonderful, but I didn't necessarily, that was not my calling per se. It was part of the information I needed.
Yes.
Uh, the same with the coaching, part of the information that I needed, and the leadership program to open me up emotionally.
Mhm.
Um, Through this whole period, I discovered, because you can't coach someone unless you can feel
Yes,
your emotions. You have to experience all the emotions that they could be experiencing, even though it's not a therapy. Coaching does bring up emotion as well, and you
it
need to know how to
does.
deal with that. So, and I had no clue, because I had, pushed my emotions down so far that they weren't even reachable. Um, so I did a lot of emotional work. I all at the guidance of spirit. Um, I didn't go to any more therapy at that point, because I was getting all of the information I needed
Mhm.
from spirit. All I had to do was to ask, um, okay, I'm ready. I just say, oh, okay, I'm ready for the next thing. And boom, something would happen and something else comes up. And I've always been a believer in following your intuitive um, response or intuitive guidance. So it was easy for me to do that. Um, and the long and short of it is really that I've come to a place where I I believe I can I I finally believe I'm fully prepared to, at least, to help people in the way that I wanted to, in the way that my passion, to help people and all around have a more beautiful life. Um,
Yes.
and
Because
and
that's what we're really seeking is happiness and health
yeah,
and joy.
yeah,
And and you found it. Well, that yeah, I think you do have to start with healing yourself and and accepting your emotions is a big part of that. If
hmm,
you bury them
yeah,
down, they often turn into illness. And
yeah,
energy work is it's very intuitive and you have to go within. So we're creating from within to without. And your um, your expression to, to coach is you have to tune into them, understand where they're at. And often people need a coach. So who would be your primary person that you have helped, or an idea of that?
It's what's interesting is that there are people coming to me now from in the uh, age group of my age group in the 50s to 60s, um, who are looking at, oh my God, what am I going to do when I retire?
Uh-huh.
Um, and so there seems to be a bubbling up of that sort of client.
Mhm.
Um, and so helping those folks find their bliss and through a combination of spirituality. I've I've got a client who told me she had no relationship with God or spirit or anything like that. She just considered that to be she never really considered it to be real in any way. And so within the coaching, I've questioned her on certain things to bring up the fact that that's not true,
Mhm.
because, she does. I could see it. I could see it and feel it. So bringing a spiritual aspect into the coaching so that people can connect with their own God, whatever that is, whatever they want to call it.
Mhm.
Um, some people call it source, some people call it Jesus, some people call it whatever.
Right.
So
Well, that is good. Asking those tough questions and spurring their internal dialogue to
yeah.
get moving, because people often do know what they need to do, but they
Hmm.
won't take the step. And that's usually a fear-based limitation. I
Right.
can't do this, I can't do that, I can't travel alone. I've traveled alone most of my life. I don't
Hmm.
know why. I'm divorced, but even when I was married, I took a lot of solo trips. And my girlfriends are like, "How do you do that?" And I'm like, "I just
Yeah.
get on the airplane and go." I mean, I won't like, I'm fearless in that way. I'm not
Yeah.
fearless in every way, but I am fearless in that way. It's it's about, I just chose to a higher perspective. I don't need anything outside of me to be happy when I travel. And so, you just
Right.
choose a higher perspective. Um, and as far as coaching or helping people, well, I was a social worker my whole life. So that was my primary work. And, it continues in a way. I don't work a lot, but I do work a little, and I coach people. And when I'm doing energy work, I mean, you're just basically flowing love and pure source energy. So if you're blocking that, then that creates illness. So
Hmm.
unblocking it can be done in many, many ways. And I tell people I do yoga. Lots of, I don't do anything. I'm not a runner or anything like that. I'm not a super athlete. But I want to be healthy and I want to enjoy life. So I do some walking. I don't really even have a plan anymore. I just do what I feel like I need to do. And most weeks that's, exercise 5 days a week. Um, but, um, but, you know, getting in tune with your body and what it needs, I often say to people, ask your body what it needs. It's going to tell you it needs more water and it needs more fresh vegetables usually. And that's
Hmm.
not what we're eating and drinking, not typically.
Yeah.
But if you start doing those simple things like drinking
Right.
more water and eating more salads, then you're just really going to naturally feel better. And you don't have to run to lose weight. You just have to let go of your anxiety and
Yeah.
and those things like stress and anxiety produce hormones in your body that make you bigger. And when you start letting them go, you feel better, and you don't have to do 1,000 aerobic classes to lose weight, but you do have to let go of some of the things that create stress, and that is usually created internally. You're just making it up. Now, as we began this call, we were talking about our internal dialogues.
Yeah. Right.
And that is really, those things are formed. And I worked with a lot of children, and I can see that, most difficulties that occur with children, and we have a small child inside of all of us, that that's created at very, very early ages by things you were told or things you started to say to yourself. I'm a failure, or I'm this, I'm not lovable, or I'm too old, too fat, too this, whatever it is. Those things are an illusion, all of them.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and that's the things you've got to start questioning. Um, and I liked what you said about your conversation with God. So we all have access to spirit, source, and
Hmm.
um, and I have energy work that I do around like keeping my energy body clear, and that includes breath work and yoga and um, just being out in nature. So
Hmm.
those things you can get clear, but you do have to stop your thoughts to get the messages coming in clear. And if
Hmm.
it's, fear-based thoughts are going to create more of that in your life, what you don't want.
Yeah.
And, so I don't want to get this. I don't want to get this disease can create that disease in your body, and high stress,
Hmm.
and I've got to do more and be more and all that. So letting go of those thoughts and shifting into, I love my body. I want to take care of it. I want to listen to it.
Hmm.
Um, and I want to have, you know, conversations with spirit. I want to allow the inspirations that will, keep my body as healthy as possible for as long as I can. Those kind of, what can I do today to feel good?
Yeah.
Those kind of questions will create the life that you really desire.
Well, can I share a passage from a book that I'm reading right now?
Sure, like to hear it.
It's the name of the book is Atmamun, and it's by Kapil Gupta, MD. Uh, and it's the passages, the reason because it's very pointed to what we were just talking about. And I wrote this down before we started this call. Um, and that was a inspiration that I had. It's like, oh, this, you write this down because this may come up in this call, and it did. Uh, the reason that human beings do not live a life of bliss is because it is not what they hold the most dear.
Mm.
Their eyes are fixed upon the twinkles on the horizon. Their hearts are fixed upon the drug of achievement. Their attention is fixed upon the search for happiness. And what that's how that speaks to me, this especially with the search for happiness. Uh, my bliss and happiness comes from inside me now.
Mm-hmm.
I took the last 2 years, 2.5 years after I healed my body to heal my inside and to be in touch, get in touch with my inside. Um, as they say, it's an inside job.
It is.
And so this search for happiness that I was always seeking outside of me, with the people I was dating or the experiences that I was creating, the excitement and all of these things that I was manufacturing, trying to manufacture happiness. Now it just comes from inside, and I can bring it and call it up at any time I want. And I can get that feeling, that warm feeling in my heart, and that knowing that I'm connected to everything, to all things,
Mhm.
and that I belong, and that I have the space that I'm taking up is my own, and it's my own to have and to take up. It's not taking anyone else's space. These are all things that I've learned spiritually in the last couple of years after I really decided what I did was I decided to be my own best friend. And I really studied that every day. Every day I asked myself, how can I be my own best friend today? So that all of the love that I feel, I can express. And I don't need to get that from the outside. I can always generate love no matter what.
Well, that's a powerful life. It's a powerful message. And yeah, we're lots of people are constantly looking for validation outside their self. I need $1 million. I need a nice new car, and I need a nice new boyfriend, or I need alcohol or drugs or something
Pills from the
else.
doctor.
Yes,
Yeah.
pills from the doctor to fix this problem.
Yeah.
When in essence, it's peace and letting go of the struggle that
Mhm.
really brings true happiness internal
It, it
inside.
it really is, Tammy. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I mean, it's taken me a lot of years, more than just a couple, to get to a peaceful place internally. And I know recently when I was in Sedona, there's portals there. It's a really peaceful place. Um, I went to this, it was a Buddhist park. And as you're there, the story that I heard was, that this Buddhist, she came there, she found the highest vibrational place that she could find on the planet, but they buried all their weapons, all their tools, all their anger, all their sadness. And there is something very peaceful about that. If you let go of the idea that you need to get sick or you need to suffer as you age, um, I think
That's
that's
what's going to happen.
oh, if you think that's what's going to happen, that is what's going to happen. That's what I'm
Yeah.
seeing all around me. And it's,
Yeah.
I saw it with my own parents, and um, I see that internal suffering creates all of that. And there's no
Mhm.
medicine going to fix you. Or, you know, the only thing that can really create true happiness inside is your connection with source and oneness,
Mhm.
knowing that you're a part of everything that exists. Because how could, why would God create imperfection? So
Right.
you're,
Why?
accepting
Right.
that you're perfect, accepting that your life is perfect. And, you know, um, I don't really believe that we're here to suffer and be angry and sad all the time and to be afraid of the world. I believe.
We're we're, we're here to experience suffering so that we can grow into understanding that we don't need it,
That's right.
then that we don't even have to have it. I am. We were talking earlier about this, and when I see my own daughter suffering unnecessarily, I find that I experience that suffering, and then I have to transform that into love
Yes.
because I feel it, and it used to just not go away. It used to just not go away. And now with the tool of saying, okay, well, I feel that because it's part of me, and because it's a lesson for me to transform that into love. And so I just send love back.
Mhm. And we do have to realize that others are on their path and they're going to create some polarity in their life.
Oh,
Or,
yeah.
I mean, so accepting them and allowing them to be, what can happen. Now, my daughter called me the other day for a suggestion to deal with my grandson. Whereas in the past, I might have just jumped in there and said, oh, well, do this, this, this. We talked about meditation, quieting his mind. He's a little bit hyperactive. So we talked about breath work. If he can pause and not, so we need to do these things too. So if we're
Mhm.
faced with the suffering of another, we don't have to take on that, but as empaths, we feel it. So, okay, I feel it. So take 7 deep breaths. And then, what would love do in this circumstances?
Mhm.
Usually the person's going to need a hug and support, not necessarily that we do anything, but we could be love in the situation. So,
Yeah.
not in, now people often ask me for help, and it's way better to give help when it's asked for than when
Oh God, yes.
than
And
when you're just jump
that
up.
is a lesson. That is a
In the
lesson
past,
that
I
is
probably would have
so
said,
hard
"Oh,
for me to
no,
learn.
none of that in my house." I would have said, "None of that
Uh,
yelling, none of that." Now, when they have a minute, when they have an event, I'll just call it an event. When they
yeah,
have a lot of an emotional outburst, I just allow it, and then I
yeah,
offer love and support, um, and not
yeah,
necessarily with words. Sometimes just placing your hand on a shoulder, or it's like when
yeah.
someone's sick or suffering, you just bring them soup. You don't, or sit with them. You don't have to say, "Oh, stop that." They're
Right,
not going to
right.
listen. If you say that, they're not going to listen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My grandson, I was talking to him yesterday about, you know, telling him again, okay, take 7 breaths when you get upset. And he was going, oh, blah, 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 blah. Because he wasn't asking me for help. I was just
You didn't
assuming
want to
he
hear it.
needed my help.
He
No, they
said
don't.
that. Blah 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 blah.
He went blah, 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 blah. And I just laughed at him. And I said, okay, not now is not the time to talk to him. When he comes to me for help, then I will help
Yeah,
him.
yeah. And I think for healers like you and I, it's the hardest thing to learn, because at least it has been for me, is I really congratulate myself when I'm able to keep my lips zipped. I just especially when it comes to my daughters, when I see them in pain and I think I have something for them, I I I want to share it so bad, and sometimes I just can't hold it. It's like a ready to pop. And then afterwards I always go, hmm. And I reflect and I go, I need to wait.
Well, and powerful questions. I often, talk to my friends when they're struggling with their kids, and I'll say, well, instead of just pushing your idea on them, how about asking them a tough question?
Mhm.
Like,
Mm,
go back to when you were 20. You thought you knew it all. I know
mhm,
I didn't know it all then, and I don't know it all today. But
mhm,
it is wonderful to have conversations with people, and sometimes they're open and listening, and
mhm,
sometimes they're ready to hear it. And, if you have inspiring words, fine. But like I said, I find that most people just want a little support and,
Yeah. And they want to figure it out on their own.
that they never, yes, we all want to figure everything out on our
Yeah.
own. And
Yeah.
it's good. It's good. It is good to have a coach because sometimes we can't see our blind spots. And,
Mhm.
you know, one of the
True.
most powerful, one of the most powerful things in our life is our family, and we created them. So, yes, they're going, you suffered when you were in your 20s with kids,
Mhm.
and they will too, and it'll
Mhm.
get better. It'll all it, they're probably not even thinking about it. They probably already remember how long your attention span was when you were in your 20s.
Oh, I know. I know. You're just on, well, especially when you got a business and a family and rent and all of that, that you're trying to figure out how to get all that juggled around and moved, moving money and figuring all that out. You know.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we've come to about an hour. So I want to
All
thank
right.
you for taking your time to be on the call, and you have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you're welcome. Let's see. Where's I just need to end? Oh, let me just stop the